Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Friday, June the 13th. Friday the 13th. Here's 2025. Let's talk trading. Weekly wrap up. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Friendly reminder, always have your risk management in place when you're trading, so you don't lose more than you're willing to lose on any one single trade or during any one single trading session. So let's jump right into it. If we look at the week, we are right around the weekly open here. We're just 0.3 of a pip below it, or 3 points below it. According to the dashboard, all the weekly gaps have filled. Notice we are back in the opening range for the month and the opening range for the week. So anybody trading across the highs of the opening range for the week there or across the low, you were rewarded. Have to love those horizontal lines. And we can take a look at the year right now. We are 1,011 pips, now 1,012 above the yearly open, 111 off the high, and 1,423 pips off the low. And I guess we need to take a quick look at the monthly. 59 pips above the high. You can see we're in the upper wick zone of the previous month. 109 off the high, 72 off the low. We had an inside bar 4 days ago, and that was also the weekly open, so same applies. Trading across the low and the high, in other words, escaping that out the inside bar would have paid off. Notice we're going to have an outside bar here today. A lot of inside bar action on the month and the week across the pairs. Range today for the pound, 116. Let's see, the big winner looks like the pound, Australian dollar, 200 pips. So it looks like we've got more pairs over 100 than not. And considering the red news isn't until half an hour from now. But I guess the war in Iran spooked people. Taking a look here, you can see we crossed the daily open back in the Asian session and price has not looked back. In fact, that looks like taking that short would have been really nice. And sometimes if you trade that Asian session, you might get the high or the low of the day and at the time, and then that will become the high and low of the day for the rest of the day. So you can see right now, weekly open crossover traders, there's a few pips to be had to the south. And we are in the green rat zone, so you green rats, you might be able to feast once again. There's already one feast here, a little nibble there. Pivot trading plan, Bambino Flex said to go long. Bias near the pivot was long, and you can see that those didn't work out too well. And I told you traders in the little video I made yesterday announcing that Kreslik is back up, that I've been working with the Bambino Flex indicator on using it on the H4. In fact, I picked off, what did I get this morning? 13 pips, I think. 10 or 13 pips, I don't remember exactly. When this H4 opened, the Bambino Flex said on H4 to go short, so price went up. I waited. As soon as it crossed back down below the H4 open, I jumped in, and then I was up about 10 pips or so, I think, when I Let me think. No, when it got up to, I was up 12 pips, I remember. And then what I did was I put on a 2 pip trailer. I'm saying I'll take 10 pips. And I just, that way, I'll let the market do it. And then it came down, put in the bottom, ran back up. I think like I said, I think I punched out for 13 pips. So hats off to Bambino Flex. In fact, I even talked to him on the phone yesterday. I hadn't talked to him for a while. So hats off to you, Bambino. And you can see we did take out today's pivot. We took out the weekly pivot, but we haven't taken out the monthly pivot yet. And we still have 2 trading weeks left this month. So there's an opportunity that we might take that monthly pivot out. In and out of the upper wick zone from yesterday's daily candle, and in and out of the lower wick zone. So when I was in that trade and when it was breaking here, I said, you know what, price doesn't like staying in the wick zone. So I just stuck in it. That's one of the things about trading. Whether or not you realize it, you have trading habits and you have to be able to recognize them. And I know I could call it fidget or whatever, but you know, when I'm up 3, 4, 5 pips, I'm so likely just to want to find a reason to get out and get out with the pips. But that can work against me because you know you can leave another 5 or 10 or 3 or whatever on the table, and sometimes you just have to say, you know what, I need to wait. I just need to, you know, wait for a signal, the opposite signal, or wait for something that says it's smart to get out. So, you know, making a new daily low and then, you know, looking left, and you can see here what happened. This is all people pushing price up. So what happened? It got here, pushed the price back up. So for the week, 176 pips at the 16th percentile. We beat last week's range. We broke out of last week's high by 16 pips. We did not break out of last week's low. So we've got higher high, higher low on the weekly candle. Weekly high minus close for you red rats, 104. Close minus low for the green, 72. So anybody trade in the rat zone off of the monthly, off of the weekly, you were rewarded. And you weekly crossover traders, high minus open 108, open minus to the north, and open minus low 68 pips to the south. You were rewarded. And that's kind of, you know, it's really kind of interesting sometimes when you trade the weekly crossover, because some weeks you might only get one trade, other weeks you get a bunch. So M30 on this simple price action, you can see here we've had the last 3 hours or so some nice range there, pips to be taken. Walmart slaughtered today. When he gets on the video next week, I'll if I can remember, I'll say, Walmart, tell him how much what you did on Friday. It was just a slaughter. You know, in case he doesn't want to say it, I don't want to, you know, tell him what he did. You have to keep some things confidential. But he slaughtered the market. And you can see here, we had a lowest high trade off of that bottom. You can see it kind of wiggled and then it moved up. So in other words, because this is a way I trade a lot of times, it's just going and taking these trades. It only gives me a pip before it starts to come back. So it'll be in and out, in and out. And right here, this is a type of trade, or this is a type of price action that can be really killer. You get in a trade, you get 2 pips, And if you don't, right about here, and then you come down here, and all of a sudden you don't have anything. So as soon as it goes back up, you want to get out because you can see this. But sometimes you just have to wait. You look here, there's this big bar, and you say, you know what, that looks like a return bar on the 1 minute. Chances are price is going to hit there. And that's maybe where you want to take profit. Sure enough, that's what you can do. So rather than having a 1 pip, in this particular case, that would have been worth about 3. Just something to focus on. And then you can see here how price came down in this level. Wicks got rejected again. And I'm still working with the EMA difference indicators that I wrote. The histogram showing when you see price go up, but then all of a sudden it makes a lower. That could be a time to reverse. Does it work every time? No. None of this stuff works every time. And your results are going to probably be different than mine. So you can see here prices moving. So that's about a 7 pip move on this particular candle. That looks like a return bar to me. We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. So you have to wait for a signal, but price should probably come back down to that 25 level just because it's psychological. And you can see here, there was a range put in here, expand what broke through, started to put in almost put in a range, and now we're right back in this area. So year-to-date accumulated range, 1,533 pips for the year. Let's see, so far for the month, 180. So we need to beat 248 so we're not the lowest. ATR percent wise, we're at 40, so we're not even halfway there yet, but we'll see what happens. Coming up to summer, close minus open year-to-date percent, so 8.18% return on the money. Let's see what happens. So might be getting a signal coming up to go short. Wait and see. Trade reminder. Let's see for the month. Price still in the upper wick zone. Still wants to fade to pivot. And we've got a higher high, higher low. For the week, inside the upper wick zone. Price is turning up. Sellers, weak control. We exceeded the previous range by 11 pips. On the daily, inside the lower wick zone. Remember, price doesn't like staying in the wick zone. So green rats, get ready. Previous range exceeded by 15 pips. Sellers strong control. We crossed below the previous mid and the pivot. But we have a higher high, lower low, outside bar as mentioned earlier. I'm just curious, there's a flip-flop box there. So, fellow traders, fastest 15 minutes of trading is just about over. I hope you've had a profitable day, week, month, and year so far. And I'm going to wish you all a fun and safe weekend. And as always, remember and never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.